Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, may I have your attention, please? Are you ready to engage in a mind-blowing experience and hear talks about life, technology, entertainment, and business? The next episode of HIPTHER Talks starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi everyone, we're back. I'm Zoltan. We're back again with HIPTHER Talks. Today we have a special guest, and today we are going to talk about Web3 and gaming in Web3, and also we are going to talk about a very interesting initiative. But if I spoil the surprise now, you might not want to listen our episode. So I have here with me today Long Do, gaming director at Virtually Human. Hi Long, nice to meet you.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
All right, so could you say a few words about yourself to our audience?
Sure. So my name is Long Do. I have been in the Web3 industry for a couple of years now. Before being in Web3, I was a CTO of an augmented reality company. I worked in SaaS companies, and really Web3 and gaming is this discovered my passion here.
All right. So, and what about Anomura, the project you launched?
Yeah, so Anomura is a strategy game that we're building at Virtually Human. It features a lot of innovative blockchain mechanics, really cool pixel art, and also we also contribute to wildlife initiatives through on-chain activities. Anomura is backed by Virtually Human. They also created some hit games such as Zed Run, which is a horse racing game that took off in early 2018, and it's been really one of the top games on Polygon Network for several years now. And Virtually Human is like a leader in developing immersive technologies, experiences, and we're just really trying to explore what we can do with Web3 gaming.
All right. So, and maybe say a few words about Virtually Human as well, because this is a very interesting company.
Yeah, it's initially Virtually Human started with the product Zenrun. We started NFTs before NFTs were really even a thing. So in 2017, we were like selling these horses. They were barely selling like one per week or so. So it was like no one knew what these were. But as soon as they saw the concept that, these are horses, you can race them, you can breed them, it became kind of like it just took off. And after a tough first few months, we got our Series A funding by some great VCs such as A16Z, TCG, Greylock Ventures, Redbeard, and it grew to over 150 people. So it's pretty crazy how fast things moved.
Yeah, I think this is like similar to Tamagotchi when you had this type of games that you need to breed the dinosaur or something like that. But all right, so yeah, I'm you made me curious now about augmented reality, because this is a question I keep asking people who are into augmented reality or worked. How in hell did this technology didn't catch up so well? Because I remember there was such a hype around Google Glasses and everything, and somehow it all disappeared. So what happened there?
Yeah, so I think that technology, it was still being developed. It was very hard to build anything in AR and VR. And it's also pushed back against adoption, so I worked in healthcare and augmented reality, which is really tough because no one in healthcare wants to try out untested technology and stuff. So it's extremely hard. At the same time, we're spending so much resources trying to figure out how to do things. So we were using AR with the iOS devices, and every single new iOS device, the AR looked different. Like all the 3D scanning, iOS Metal, it changed everything. So we're still dependent on that, and there's no standards. So it was so hard, basically.
Yeah, because I figured that in 5-10 years, everybody would be wearing Google Glasses everywhere, that everybody will be living, augmented reality. But this was a side question, by the way, everyone, about our topic today. So most probably our listeners have heard about Web3 and Web3 gaming, of course. But maybe they just heard about it, and similar to NFTs, they haven't really digested what it really is or looked around it. So to kick things off, today and help our audience learn something new, of course. Could you tell us in your own words what is Web3 gaming?
Sure. So in essence, like it's gaming. Instead of using stuff like centralized databases, servers and stuff, we're relying on the blockchain to save all those transactions. What we can do with this is, grant people ownership of the assets inside video games. That's one of the core things that people think about. There's also a lot of options to have things like tokens in video games, and it's kind of like led to a big blast off in the last like couple of years because people can monetize games really fast through this method. But there's so much other stuff to Web3 gaming, such as like the ownership part I was talking about. You can have entire game saved on chain so that this game always exists regardless of like if your server goes down. There's stuff that can prove that this is the issuer of this NFT, so no one can hack the game. There's so many ideas that are like just scratching the surface, and people really haven't been exploring all the options yet. But I think it's like a paradigm shift from regular gaming to Web3 because I just think there's a lot of new stuff that we can build out to make games more enjoyable as well.
Yeah, so if anyone is interested in learning more about decentralized networks and blockchain, you can check out our other episodes as well, because we even talk about it for the past year now. So back to Anomura, how did you come up with the idea of Anomura, the game, and why is it disrupting the NFT gaming space?
Yeah, so Anomura is Latin for hermit crab. We chose that because we really think that hermit crabs are a great symbol for wildlife. We want to incentivize people to change the way they think about crypto and donations and wildlife. Right now, there's a lot of like hate on the environmental impacts of blockchain. We don't think that blockchain that can 100% contribute to everything that's going wrong with the climate and everything. It's kind of really overblown, and we're proving by creating an example for this in blockchain, which I don't think any other blockchain game is doing. So we're doing things like offsetting our entire mint, so that we're basically purchasing the offsets and going more than the offsets that we need to be carbon neutral. So we brand ourselves as being ocean positive. What that means is we're buying offsets to plant mangrove trees in Indonesia. We're restoring kelp in Southern California. So we're really directly contributing to wildlife. And we think that also from a gaming perspective, animals are so often used in video games. There's games like Pokemon and Digimon and Animal Crossing, yet so little people know about what these animals are going through. So why not like teach that at the same time? We think Web3 offers a new way for us to look at stuff like donations, which Web2 couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. And coming back to climate change, how can the video games industry, or what actually can the video industry do to reduce the negative impact on the environment? Because it's not just like blockchain uses a lot of power. There's also stuff around the video gaming industry itself, not just Web3, because you have a lot of produce that is mostly plastic and everything that's really big waste.
I think that educating people is something that gaming can do. Like we think there's so many cool ways, so many cool things I've learned from gaming. For example, there's games on like mythology. So I learned so much like myths and stuff. There's so many RPGs about like history of like weaponry or something. And I know so much about from RPG about weapons. So why can't you learn?
Age of Empires, yeah.
Yeah, you know about all these empires and civilizations. So what we can do with gaming is kind of educate people and kind of incentivize it too. So we're seeing that like why you learn so much in video games is because you want to win. And so you're okay, I gotta learn this really fast. And it kind of changes the way you think about things and it makes you learn so much faster. So why can't we just do that with like environment or wildlife? So those are things we try to build with Anomura.
Got it. Yeah, I'm not a hardcore gamer myself, but yeah, you can teach a lot of things with the video games. But why gamers should get serious about climate change and how the virtual experience can inspire players to be more active in their real life? That's the big question.
I think that there's so many people that play video games like daily, and they're kind of ignoring a lot of the things going wrong in the world, such as climate change. mainly because it's kind of like out of their mind. They're not thinking about it. It's not apparent to their closed off world. Like I'm a pretty hardcore gamer. I was playing professionally, like video games in StarCraft and Hearthstone, and try to compete. My bubble, I was not exposed to stuff like climate change. So why not have that type of information be presented to you in the form of games, so you're more aware of it? We think that gamers are very passionate people, so we can change the way people can be passionate about the environment. So I think gamers, like, they need to be more involved in just being outside their bubble and learning about more things. I think gaming is such a good tool for learning about everything.
All right. Yeah. So that's very interesting because most of the virtual reality players are spending a lot of time inside, so they don't really care about the climate. And on the second hand, like you said, it's a bubble which they live. And yeah, if you manage to get them out of that comfort zone, it's
Yeah. I also want to add, for an example, was Niantic in Pokemon Go. They had an Earth Day event where they asked their audience, their players, to pick up trash, and they got like 17,000 people in 41 countries. I think maybe 17 million people, something crazy, and they picked up 145 plus tons of trash. So they were able to get people to do that much. At Anomura, we did that within our Discord community. We asked people to take a picture of them picking up trash, and we were able to post on our socials, like showing pictures of people doing it because they were excited about Anomura. We gave them an incentive to be involved in the game. Once they were picking up trash, they can be part of their project and be able to mint later on. So that's something that we did already, and we know it works because we've seen this happen so many times already.
Yeah, gamification. That's the
yeah.
All right. So one of the cool PR agencies have been sending us over some of the news, and there was an interesting article which was sent over to us from techrepublic.com, which points out that the video gamers spend about 8 hours and 27 minutes each week playing games, which is an increase of 14% over 2020 because everybody was locked up. This was according to a new worldwide survey. So Limelight Networks also found that 44% play more than 7 hours per week, and 25% clock more than 12 hours per week. That means there is enough potential players that could help your cause and mission because they are spending so much time, so they can also create a lot of tokens and stuff like that. But blockchain games are not that fun. We have to agree on that, right?
Yes, definitely.
How much time do you think that video gamers would spend on Web3 gaming space?
So right now, I'll just be pointing out some of the things I see are kind of wrong with the industry. People in countries like Korea, Philippines, Vietnam, they want to play certain games because of it's an earning income for them. They can make a pretty decent income. I think that sometimes you can make over like a few $100s per week when games are at their peak. On average, maybe $50 a week, and that's more than what they can make in their country. So people are playing these games not because they're fun, but because they can make an income off it.
Got it.
So I think that's kind of one big problem. Because then we kind of rely on gaming as a source of income. Where does that money come from? It's just coming back from people who are investing in it. It doesn't make sense. What does make sense is like traditional gaming. People are let's take a free-to-play game. People pay to play. They get more of. They might like this game. They try it out. They pay and they get more of experiences because they want to learn more. They want to play more. So that it makes more sense in that way because like you're paying for the entertainment value that you get from the game. So that's something that's definitely lacking in games. I find that most Web3 games are just like a job almost. It feels like you're clicking, trying to maximize your earning strategy. It's almost painful, some of the gameplay. There's no storyline in games. In these Web3 games, it's just like, okay, you have some animals now, you can battle them, and then if you win, you get some tokens. That shouldn't be the point of the game. The point of the game should be like a storyline, something that you see in every single game, like on Steam and mobile stores. So that's what's missing, and what we're trying to build with Anomura. We've spent so much time building up the lore of this game. We want people to learn about the wildlife initiatives, as well as like what blockchain is through our games. We've been incorporating blockchain into our lore, which is really interesting. You'll learn what minting is, what a blockchain wallet is. I think that's also very lacking right now because people who are playing these games are crypto investors usually. People who have spent the time to learn what a wallet is, what tokens are, how I can sell this. The mainstream gamers, they're not doing that. They just want to create a regular account with their email. They want to play and enjoy. And so there needs to be an onboarding experience for them to understand why blockchain would make this game better. So that's the stuff that we want to build out.
All right, so we did not kill the vibe about Web3 gaming yet. So the future of Web3 gaming is, at least for now, in Web2. We have to agree on that. And what is your opinion about using off-chain assets with on-chain marketplaces?
Yeah, so right now, to make a really good game, generally you use stuff like gaming engines, such as Unity or Unreal. They let you create a game like very high fidelity, really fast. And it's hard to integrate those into on-chain activities because a game requires you to have like thousands of transactions like rapidly. So Ethereum network runs like 30 seconds per transaction sometimes. So imagine like you're fighting a boss. It takes 30 seconds to be able to get like the item from that boss. This is not really feasible. It's so interruptive. So things are improving. There's stuff like layer 2 solutions. And there's also things like gas, which means that you have to pay to do every transaction. It's really painful. Imagine like, okay, you killed this boss, you need to get this weapon, but you have to now pay $10 in gas fees. Oh, but if you kill the boss later, it's now $1. It's crazy. There's discrepancy there. So there's a lot to try to figure out still. And so with Virtually Human, we've tried to create some virtual experiences, such as a game called Human Park, which was ran on Unreal Engine. And then players were able to create their character, customize, add tattoos. And we also hid all the transactions. So we paid for the gas fees underneath the hood to drop this NFT towards you. That's something that's really cool. We want to make sure that the users don't need to know any of this stuff about blockchains, about transactions. So it feels like the game, like a regular game. So that's something that all the technologies are really trying to improve right now, but something that we're not quite there yet, but we're rapidly approaching.
All right. So are the blockchain layers currently capable of supporting the same kind of complex gaming ecosystem of what Web2 games offer today? I know that they don't, but maybe you can explain why and what's maybe some outlook on this.
Yeah, so first thing is, as I mentioned, if you want to have everything on chain, then that's kind of impossible right now with the amount of complexity there are, how much stuff is lacking still. If you have a combination of off-chain and on-chain, that could be possible. That's what we're trying to build right now. Eventually, we want to move towards everything being on-chain because that's the whole point of decentralization. But there's also an argument where like, how much decentralization do you actually need to prove that this is, like totally decentralized? So right now, I'd say that games are still very early. There's nothing that quite does it 100% yet. If they do, they're not quite a full video game yet. That's just my personal opinion. And there's a lot of cool blockchain networks establishing stuff like ZK rollups, which are zero knowledge proofs that offer you to have like something like 30,000 transactions per second. Theoretically, this is all making this stuff possible. Just no one has completed this stuff yet.
All right. So how much time until Web2 tech that supports strong P2E games will be easily ported to Web3?
Easily, I'd say we're still quite a long time. I'd say like right now, there's some really cool traditional Web2 companies trying to make the move, make it easier. So Unity, for example, we've been talking to them a lot about all the tools they want to create for blockchain. There are also tools like to provide intermediary. So all the gaming guilds in NFT culture right now are trying to build these tools. There's also Google and Microsoft building out their own tools to support game engines and blockchain. So there's a lot of industry push to create these tools right now. So I don't suppose it's going to be very long before we see a game experience that's pretty fun. To be completely decentralized and then fully on-chain, we're still quite a while away. But maybe it doesn't need to be there before the next hit happens.
All right. So either way, it's a different promise from the virtual reality perspective, because this is a different promise that is decentralized. You can earn something from it, because we've been doing conferences for almost 10 years now, and we've been talking about a lot of technology. And I remember that they have been saying that virtual reality will be the future in 5 years. No, that did not happen. Maybe in 10 years, that did not happen. Even now, with the push from Facebook, from Meta, it's still not happening. It's something that I feel that it's still not happening. Even if I own Oculus goggles, I did not use them since last year. So that so even with this Web3 gaming, if we get it wrong, it will be the case of always winter but never Christmas for Web3 gaming, which will doom it, and it will be just like a niche experience which happened in a time and then it passed. So, what are, in your opinion, the safe routes that need to be taken to ensure this shift from Web 2 into Web 3 is done correctly?
Sure. So some initial thoughts that I was just thinking about what you're saying. Some more of the timeline things. I've been following Gartner, who released like a hype cycle chart. They think that right now we're on kind of like the cusp of like going downwards, and then when the technology gets accepted, it's gonna be like 10 years from now. I think maybe they have it right with like where we are, but it doesn't mean that will take 10 years. I think being in an industry myself, I'm seeing such rapid developments, such fast speeds of all these companies coming in, like Square Enix like announcing like their blockchain division, Atari, all these really top tier gaming companies are all trying to do it. That's why I think the push will be a bit faster, but I still think it'll take at least like a couple of years, the very minimum, to get somewhere remotely feeling like something mainstream. So, and then answering your second question about the safe routes. First off, like I think no one knows about crypto enough. Like all the players right now, they don't know enough to know what they're getting involved with. They just care about like making money. That needs to change. Blockchain gaming doesn't actually mean making money off of tokens and stuff. Like Web3 is just like a new technology that gaming could be on like a new platform. So one thing we have to focus on is demystifying crypto, blockchains, wallets, everything to the standard user. Once people start accepting and using that, I think that's the most difficult burden that takes a lot of time to get people through. Games will help that. And I think games should help that. Not every game will, but I think that's where blockchain experts and such need to like speak up. We need to include all this type of stuff inside the game itself to warn people. You attached a wallet here. There's some security concerns. Are you taking those seriously? People don't know what they're doing right now, and then it's almost like people are being misled, especially investors and everything. They're just moving too fast to see the dangers. Like another big one was like the Axie Infinity hack recently. That honestly shouldn't have happened, but the amount of money when you make like several $1 billion in a game and holding it in your wallet, you're going to bet that the most talented hackers in the world are going to go after that money.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you got to take that seriously and then try to not rush, basically.
Yeah. So walk us through what does an unexperienced player in Web3 have to do to help you guys plant more kelp?
So what we're building through Anomura is we're trying to get people to sign up without a wallet first. So you can sign up with your email, register a password, then try out the game itself. You play the game. If you enjoy it, you can be eligible for certain rewards. If you want to play more, you also need to unlock more content through blockchain. So that's kind of like the initial approach that we're hitting with onboarding users. And we want to guide you through, like, this is a very safe way of, you attach your wallet. Now you have access to more of the crypto stuff. Why? Because there's more gaming content that gets unlocked. There's more value in these items that you acquire because you can personally identify with these items because you worked hard to acquire these. So that's kind of the approach we're taking. We also want to do stuff like in the traditional video game, you're playing against like a boss. You destroy the boss. You have an option to also donate to a charity. Because why? Because you might get more powerful in the game if you do. So these are types of actions that we're thinking about building, because we think that people have always been very excited to earn and make money from these games. What if you got excited because you get to donate, like because you're rewarded within the game? So these are types of things that we're thinking about. And so that's why one of the early partnerships we just with the offsets. We plan to do a lot more stuff and improving that it's being done because of Web3 on-chain technology.
All right. So as a closing question, I would like to ask, how do you see the future, like the near future, which is the end of 2022, and then the whole 2023 in the Web3 community?
Yeah, so I think right now we're just getting over the hump of everything selling like crazy. In the past couple of months, like you can make any bet with any NFT, and chances are, if you did a lot of research, like you'd be successful. Right now, it might be some time where, like, even if you have a great project, it's hard to get out there. Marketing is not what it was a few months ago. So that's a good thing for me because we've been building out Anomura for like a year now, and we're only just launching now. So it's just like we spent all this time and we're launching maybe at not the best market, but we'll be here next year. And at that time, we know that we've been proving ourselves. We weren't someone that just stole your money and ran away like some of these other projects. We weren't here to make a lot of money really fast. We want to build out something very sustainable. So I think that a lot of these projects are building themselves right now, understand this. And so I think like we're bound to have a lot of success in 2023 with people continuing trying to build, not just for the pursuit of making a lot of money, but just to create the technology that people can re-leverage and build other games and other adapts and et cetera.
And make a change, of course.
Yeah, like we don't know who's going to be the leader in building out all these like platforms and such. I'm very excited to figure it out. There's so many tools being created right now, and developers are getting an easier time to pick and choose now. There's so many great APIs, so many great marketplace integration ideas. There's just a lot.
All right. So thank you so much, Long, for joining us today. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. You know what to do after you finish up this show. You just subscribe to our channel and you can hear more talks like the one that we just had with Long. So Long, thank you so much for joining us and let's stay in touch.
Great. I had a great time.
Thank you for joining. Be sure to check back next week for the next HIPTHER Talks and subscribe on Amazon Music, Overcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and Pandora.